Well, I've got to be honest, when it comes to all things Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD-2D Remake, I am pretty sold on the game with all of the information, what I've got to play, and what I've seen from all of the previews leading up to its release in less than a couple of months away. So in today's video, I have a little bit more information to go over that I'm quite excited about when it comes to all things combat and a few other features that are going to be included in the remakes of Dragon Quest 1 and 2. So I'm hoping you can join me today in this one. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got your cool timestamps, so if you want to skip to a certain section of the video, feel free to do so. All I ask is you to support the channel, hit that like button. Apparently there's a hype button, so click that too. And if you want to stick around for some more Dragon Quest content, you're already in the right place. Just hit that subscribe button. So let's dive into this information. I previewed last week some Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD-2D remake stuff along with a lot of other outlets and content creators, and out of that we got even more information that I want to go over. Some information in regards to quality of life and a couple of combat things here and there. So we're going to start off with a couple of quality of life things that got seen. Now the Japanese outlets got to record their own footage for the same preview that I did last week, and they got to dive through the menus, and it was noticed that there is a couple of extra quality of life features. Now, when you pick the Draki mode in Dragon Quest 3, of course this made the game a lot more easier, but at the same time, you never went to 0 HP at all. You were immortal. There is now a setting for you to turn that off. So if you do want the easy thing, but you still want to experience the characters getting KO'd and maybe getting a game over, then this is a feature you can turn off and customize that Draki experience just that little bit more. And then there's another quality of life, which I don't think I'm going to use, but there might be people that want to use it when they're trying to check off their checklists of items, mini medals, and everything else in between. But there is an option to show secret chests and items and areas on the map with a toggle. It's a nice little quality of life that they've introduced with a lot more other things that we've had in previous previews, like what they added in Dragon Quest 3 with the shortcut buttons, so you can get to like Nose of Treasure a little bit easier, or some other abilities like Zoom just at a click of the button. So quality of life is where it is at the moment, and they've really put some thought into some of these things that they've added. Now let's talk about combat and each individual character and what they'll be bringing to the table, because there's some really cool stuff here. So we're going to start off with Dragon Quest 1 and we're going to talk about the hero. So with Dragon Quest 1, this is a solo adventure. I'm still convinced that there's going to be some endgame content with the princess. Could be wrong, I'm still holding on to hope for that, but primarily the most of the adventure you're going to be having with Dragon Quest 1 is just with your solo protagonist, which means that the abilities need to be reworked because, as we know, there are more than one enemy now. So there are a few things that we can expect with abilities when it comes to the hero of Dragon Quest 1. Of course, he wields various sword abilities and he has attacks that are effective against certain groups, and this is something that we're probably going to be wanting to consider a bit more and really strategize. Like, we want to use cattle prod if we're going against beast enemies. We're going to want to use metal based attacks against metal enemies, especially if we're trying to farm for those metal slimes. So there's layers in his abilities. Not only that, he has spells like Sizz and the Zap type abilities, and then traits that we expect like Dragon Slash. And as we know, they've added this thing where it tells us what attacks are going to be effective against certain enemies. So I think this is going to really add to Dragon Quest 1. We also know that we can learn abilities via scrolls, and with it just being one protagonist here in Dragon Quest 1, all the scrolls you're going to be using on the hero, and it's going to give us even more abilities. For example, Cop Out. Cop Out is an attack that allows you to reflect damage inflicted to you to either a party member or an enemy. Again, we're just the solo protagonist. We have no friends or teammates that we can unload that damage onto. So what we're doing here is we're reflecting it back on the enemy essentially, which is probably going to be a ability that's going to be used quite a lot. A few other abilities and spells we can expect from the Dragon Quest 1 hero is abilities like Dodgy Dance and Flame Slash, but also spells like Snooze, Fizzle, and Heal. heal. Of course, these are necessities to keep us topped up with HP, and snooze to maybe send a more powerful enemy to sleep as we destroy the fodder next to them. So many layers to it, and it's pretty exciting. But let's move on to Dragon Quest II, because this has the most unique changes when it comes to combat because of the fourth party member, the Princess of Cannock. But let's start off by talking about the hero of Dragon Quest II. The Prince of Midenhall is very much like what we got from the hero of Dragon Quest I. We have various abilities that the Prince of Midenhall brings to the table, like Knuckle Sandwich and Hatchet Man. He can also learn Forbearance to protect his allies if necessary, making him both effective at both offense and defensive abilities. He also has so many other abilities at his disposal, like Flying Knee, Stone's Throw, Hawkeye's Claw, Double Edge Slash, Dragon Slash, Attack, Attacker. He is a jack of all trades and really brings abilities that are either going to affect the party or affect the enemies, like Attack, Attacker will bring the strength down by 1 every time you use it. Could be quite vital in getting some of those enemies down to where you need them to be to finish them off. Next up, let's talk about the squishy boy, the Prince of Cannock. He is a well-balanced hero in both sword skills and spells. Not only can he attack, but he can also heal and support his allies, and he has got a lot of changes, and with the hands-on I've had with the Prince of Cannock, he ain't a squishy boy no longer. He has Giga Slash, which is a big change here. That in itself tells me, you know what, the Prince of Cannock has got a lot of things he's bringing to the table here, combined with his support abilities and his healing abilities. I think the Prince of Cannock now is a vital piece in the team. So let's move over to the Princess of Moonbrooke. The Princess of Moonbrooke brings to the table a lot of outstanding spell casting abilities. She's mastered powerful offensive spells, but she can also support her allies with support spells and healing spells such as Oomph and Insulate. So she is falling into the category that she once did back in the original Dragon Quest II. She is more focused on her offensive and defensive spells. She's going to be using things like Sizz and Kaboom and spells like that, but also being able to use multi-heal and maybe omni-heal as well, though I think that's probably going to be more catered to the Prince of Midenhall. But the Princess of Moonbrooke, we never had a problem with her in the original Dragon Quest II, so I don't think we're going to have a problem with her here in the remake of Dragon Quest II. Now we move on to the fourth and final party member, the newest party member, the Princess of Cannock. Now she joins our party early on and she has a lot of gadabout traits to her. It seems like there's going to be some kind of evolution in the story where she really books up her ideas, keeping a couple of those traits but having them under control, but also bringing quick and agile movements to her skill set. She's going to be able to perform a variety of special moves, and she is also going to be skilled and equipped with Frizz type and Crack type spells. She is bringing a lot of traits from Dragon Quest III's vocations like the martial artist, the gadabout, and the thief, and really bringing the party full circle. So they're all the characters we get to play as in both Dragon Quest I and II. But we've mentioned scrolls that learn special skills and spells. We know that in Dragon Quest I that these are going to just be going straight to the hero, but in Dragon Quest II we have 4 heroes to pick from. So what's happening here is that we can obtain these scrolls from treasure chests and other places, whether that's side quests or just secret areas throughout the world of Dragon Quest II. And what will happen is we'll be able to see which of these heroes can learn from the scroll. There'll be some that say can be learned and there'll be some that say cannot be learned. Whether we can get duplicates of these scrolls or if this is something that we really need to bear in mind and think, well, hold on a minute, who's going to be best using this ability? It adds another layer of strategy, which I like. But it would be nice towards the end game, maybe we can pick up the duplicate scroll just to throw on the other character, just to reward us for that exploration and the time we've put into the game. Now, that's not everything when it comes to battle. There's a very unique thing that I touched on in my preview, and that is the Sigils. Now, let me give you the backstory. These were introduced in Dragon Quest II as crests. They're now called Sigils, but what they have done is that they've linked it back to Dragon Quest I, and this is where the fairies come in. The hero and the fairies work together to create these Sigils, and then in Dragon Quest II, we need these 5 Sigils to defeat Hargon. But these aren't just key items anymore. These are vital pieces to the puzzle of combat and really open it up to make it quite the experience. Now, in my preview, I covered the Star Sigil. And what this does, once you obtain this, when you choose to defend in battle, you have the opportunity to restore some MP. But we have 4 other sigils, and we now know what some of these do. Let's start off with the Sun Sigil. What this does when the effect is activated, and we don't know how this is activated. We don't know if it's random or if it's something we can select within battle, but some special abilities will deal critical damage. So for example, if you're using like Giga Slash, you can make that crit even more. Now on the flip side of that, the Moon Sigil is where some spells will act unpredictably. These spells can go critical, and this can include healing spells. So having the Moon Sigil is going to be nice to have. The most unique sigil, I think, is the Soul Sigil. This activates souped up skills. So what will happen is on the menu, it will change ever so slightly and it will have a green glow on certain abilities. For example, if this is activated and you pick to choose Dragon Slash, this will get upgraded to a even more powerful double Dragon Slash, which will be 2 Dragon Slashes in succession of one another. Whether this remains permanent or it's almost like a limit break system, the Soul Sigil is really bringing something that will shake up battle and can be quite unpredictable. Like I say, we don't know how we control the sigils in battle, whether it's random or we need to do certain things. So it does make battles quite exciting. Like, oh man, we're going into a boss battle. I could really do with that double Dragon Slash. Is it going to trigger? And it triggers, you're going to be quite excited to get that done. Now, the only sigil that I don't know about and I've not been able to see any information on is the Water Sigil. Now, if I was to have a guess of what this will do, since the Star Sigil restores MP during you defending, that I would assume with what we've got here that the Water Sigil will do something along the lines of maybe healing HP when you defend as well, or something that's HP related, maybe a regen throughout the battle when it's activated or something like that. But that's about everything. I just wanted to cover this really cool layers of combat that were going to make combat interesting and exciting in both Dragon Quest 1 and 2. I am really looking forward to playing this game. I'm going to be playing it on PlayStation, trying to get that Platinum Trophy. As far as I'm aware from what I've seen back in my preview, that this just has one single Platinum Trophy and not one for both Dragon Quest 1 and 2, which is a shame. So I'll be going for that. And of course, all things upcoming for Dragon Quest, you can hear it here on the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.